Hello and welcome back to the Jobless Bum YouTube channel. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day today. Today, we're going to be ranking sodas in a tier list to find out which ones are the most refreshing and which ones are absolutely disgusting. And as always, these opinions, these rankings are solely mine. So if you have something that you disagree with, let me know in the comments and I'll take a look at it. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Or I forgot to do this the last tier list that we did, and I ended up having to do this in the middle of the tier list. So to save us some time later, I'm just going to do it at the start. I'm going to put all the sodas that I've never had into the never had tier, and within a matter of moments, we should be ready to start the tier list. So, starting off our tier list, we do have 7-Up. And what I will say about 7-Up is I'm a big fan of a lemon lime soda. There's something that's very refreshing about a 7-Up. And I'm a big fan. The tartness, the sweetness, but it's not too sweet, right? Like some other sodas that are on the list later. But I will say though, in terms of lemon lime sodas, 7-Up is not as good as Sprite for me. So by that logic, I'm going to put 7-Up in the B tier, and then I'm going to put Sprite in the A tier. I think Sprite is a little bit better than 7-Up. I don't know why. Maybe it's just branding. Maybe it's just marketing. But for me, it seems like there is a difference between Sprite and 7-Up. And I'm going to put Sierra Mist in the same tier as 7-Up. I'm going to put Sierra Mist in the B tier. I think Sierra Mist is probably worse than 7-Up, but I don't think it's that much worse to put it in the C or the D tier. All right, next up on the list, we do have A&W root beer. And I gotta say, I'm really not that big of a fan of root beer. So A&W, Barks, and Mug are going to all go into the D tier. I'm just not that big of a root beer fan. If I had to give a ranking of all the root beers though, I'd say I'm probably a Mug man, not a Bark boy. I'd probably say that Mug is the best root beer for me, just because I think Mug is like a little bit sweeter than the other two root beers on this list. So yeah, they're all pretty bad in my book. I'm not a big root beer fan, so they're all going in the D tier. Next up on our list, we do have Canada Dry. And again, I'm not really that big of a fan of ginger ale. And honestly, between the two ginger ales on the list, couldn't really put a difference for them. I'm not really a big ginger ale fan. I will say though, ginger ale slaps when you're sick. So does 7-Up and Sprite. But other than that, I can't like think of like a time where I would be like, oh, get me a ginger ale. So for that reason, I'm going to put both Canada Dry and Schweppes in the C tier. However, at least there is still a use for ginger ale in my book rather than, you know, root beer, which I find absolutely abhorrent. All right, next up, we do have Cherry 7-Up. And I got to say, it's probably better than the regular 7-Up. I'm going to put Cherry 7-Up in the A tier. It just slaps. It's very good. I'm a big fan. The cherry complements the flavor of the lemon and lime of the regular 7-Up and brings it to a whole new stratosphere, a tropical citrus explosion in your mouth. It's very good. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. Next up, we have Coke, Coca-Cola, the classic soda. It really is an American staple. I can't imagine a world without Coca-Cola. It would be very hard for me to imagine, which is insane, you know, like that Coke is one of those products that's just ingrained into the just general public consciousness. So I hope, you know, in a distant future, there's still a Coke, there's still a Coca-Cola to remind us of, you know, who we are. Saying all of that, I think the branding of Coke and the marketing is a lot better than the drink itself. So I'm going to put Coca-Cola in the B tier. It's solid, not the best, but it's also not the worst. Like, I would not be mad if like the soda selection at an event that I was going to was a Coca-Cola. I would drink it. It's not like a ginger ale where I'd be like, I'll probably pass. Back to the tier list, we do have Cherry Coke. I gotta say, I think I like Cherry Coke better than regular Coke. Coke is like the quintessential soft drink, the quintessential soda. It's just ubiquitous. That's what someone thinks of when they think of a soda, in my opinion. So you can't go wrong with being the quintessential soda, and you're adding a little bit extra to the party with the cherry Coke. So I have no problems putting cherry Coke into the A tier. It's very solid. It's not top tier. I'm not going to go out of my way to get a cherry Coke, but I'll be very pleased if someone gives me a cherry Coke. Next up on our tier list, we do have vanilla Coke, and I'm gonna put vanilla Coke in the B tier. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I've had a vanilla Coke, I literally can't tell the difference between vanilla Coke and regular Coke. Because I think the regular Coke has like a base vanilla flavor in it. So if you're adding more vanilla to it, I don't really see the difference. But it's still solid. I mean, it's still Coke, so you can't really go wrong with that. I'll put it in the B tier because I like Coke. So you didn't really do much to it, so it's still a B tier. Next up, we do have Coca-Cola Zero. And this might ruffle some feathers, but I think Coke Zero, S tier soda for me. What I will say about a diet soda is I value the no calories of a diet soda. So that's going to factor into my ranking in the tier list. And there's just something about a Coke Zero where it doesn't taste that much different to a regular Coke, but you're getting that good flavor with 0 calories. So I'm a big fan. I don't really think it has a weird aftertaste either. I think it just like tastes like a slightly worse Coke. And for 0 calories, that's a definite S tier for me. Then we do have a little Diet Coke, and I think Diet Coke also going to be an S tier for me. The diet options, I really enjoy the no calorie portion of it. And that, like I said, that impacts my ranking of the sodas. However, Diet Coke, I feel like has a different taste than regular Coke, but it's still very good. It's still incredible, but it's a different taste. And I really like that taste. So it's going to go into the S tier for me. It's just very refreshing, a nice Diet Coke. And it's bringing something different to the table than regular Coke, which you can't say about a lot of diet sodas. I'm a big fan, is going in the S tier. Next up, we have Diet Coke Lime. And I haven't seen this on the shelves in like ages. It's going in the S tier. Frick it. I'm a big fan of a Coke with lime flavor. I think that is a classic combination. With a rum and Coke, right? You usually get a lime with that, or they put lime juice in it. So it's a classic combination. You can't go wrong with a nice cola flavor and a nice lime. I think Coke does it well, whereas some other colas with lime, I'm talking about Pepsi with lime, don't really do it well, but I think Coke is really good in that respect. So I'm going to put Diet Coke with lime in the S tier. Next up on our tier list, we do have Diet Pepsi, and I think, honestly, Diet Pepsi is disgusting. It's just got this weird metallic taste to it that I don't feel the same way with Diet Coke. I think Diet Coke balances out the artificial taste in a way that you can taste it, but it's pleasant. Whereas with Diet Pepsi, it's just not very good. But the fact that it is 0 calories is going to place it above being in the D tier. But this is like, this is everything but being in D tier. I'm not a big fan of Diet Pepsi. And then we do have Dr. Pepper. Really that big of a Dr. Pepper fan either. It's supposed to be an in-between between root beer and cola. So in that sense, it's better than the root beers in my book, but it still has that weird taste for me from root beer that's sort of overshadows like the cola taste, right? I think Dr. Pepper like tastes sort of, I don't want to say spicy, but it's got some weird taste in it, and I just don't like that. So I'm gonna put Dr. Pepper in the C tier. Then we do have Fonta, and I think I'm gonna rank Fonta, Sunkissed, and Crush at the same time. I think Fonta is going to be an S tier. It's the quintessential orange soda in my book. It's just got a sweet taste, and I think Fonta tastes the most like an orange out of all of the orange sodas. It's pretty close to perfection in my book. Then we do have Sunkissed. I'm going to put Sunkissed in the A tier. I think Sunkist is probably a tier below Fonta, but it's an orange soda. You can't really mess that up. But I would still probably prefer a Fonta over a Sunkist. And then we do have Crush, and Crush is probably my least favorite orange soda. It just doesn't compare to Sunkist or Fonta. I think it has a weird taste to it. So I'm going to put Crush in the B tier. But it's still an orange soda, so it's above the nearly inedible tiers of C and D. Then we have Strawberry Fonta, I believe, which is... I'm going to put Strawberry Fonta in the B tier. Strawberry is a weird flavor for a soda. It just doesn't fit in my opinion. Like strawberry, because with a soda, with a fruit soda, you're getting a more muted flavor of that fruit. Like no one's going to say like orange soda is like the full essence of orange flavor. But orange works in a more muted context. I'm not so sure about strawberry. So that's why strawberry's in the B tier for me. But I mean, you know, it's not as bad as these ones. So I'm not going to put it in the C or the D tier, but it's solid. I wouldn't turn down a strawberry Fonta. Then we do have Fresca, which is a lemon lime soda. But how do I explain this? It's kind of like more like a sparkling drink than a soda. It's got like this weird taste to it. It coats your mouth with this kind of like film, if I remember Fresca correctly. And the flavor is more muted as well. It's not like, you know, the full flavor I feel like you get with Sprite or even a 7-Up or a Sierra Mist. The flavor is more muted and it just doesn't work as well. So I'm going to put Fresca in the C tier, but it's probably at the top of the C tier because I'll down a Fresca, but I wouldn't say the same about these. So it's right on the edge between the C and the B. I think I'd rather have a strawberry Fonta, but I would rather have a Fresca over a ginger ale. Then we have Crush Grape. The Grape Crush is probably the best out of the grape flavored sodas. Fonta may make a grape soda as well, but I think Crush probably has the best grape soda. I don't know, does Sunkist make anything other than orange soda? I'm not sure. But I think Grape Crush is very solid. It's a very solid drink, but you don't see grape flavored sodas that often. Orange soda is a lot more ubiquitous than like a grape soda. And I'm a fan of grape flavor. Grape is probably one of my favorite flavors in terms of fruits and, you know, fruit flavored things. And the same thing for like a strawberry Fonta where, you know, the flavor isn't as common. So you appreciate that more. But I think the strawberry Fonta is a tier below the Grape Crush. I think the Grape Crush is a solid soda, but I'd never like say it's my favorite soda, but it's very solid. So that's why it's going in the A tier. Then we do have Hawaiian Punch. I think I got a similar feeling for Hawaiian Punch that I do for Grape Crush. It's very solid. Also, the soda version of Hawaiian Punch, it's kind of carbonated, but not really. You feel a faint carbonation. But Hawaiian Punch is just so good. It's a, you know, fruit punch. It's probably the fruit punch, if we're going to be honest with ourselves. And I'm a big fan of Hawaiian Punch. I think I'd probably prefer it out of the bottle than out of the can, but it's very solid. It's worthy of the A tier, but again, I think the A tier is for sodas that are solid, but I would never say is my top most favorite soda of all time. But it's a solid soda, so Hawaiian Punch is going in the A tier. Then we do have Mellow Yellow. And Mellow Yellow is pretty similar to Mountain Dew in the fact that they're both citrus sodas, both, you know, yellow sodas. For me, both Mellow Yellow and Mountain Dew are in the S tier. A lot of people are either a Mellow Yellow or a Mountain Dew fan. But I like both of them. Probably more people are Mountain Dew fans than Mellow Yellow fans. But I think they offer something slightly different. I think Mellow Yellow is probably a little bit sweeter than Mountain Dew. But Mountain Dew has more of like a tarty kick. But, I mean, you're really splitting hairs here. They're both very solid sodas, so they're both worthy entrants in my S tier. Next up on the tier list, we do have Minute Maid Lemonade. And I think the Minute Maid Lemonade's gonna go into the B tier. And this is solely due to the fact that I actually like regular lemonade better than, Minute Maid lemonade. Like, Minute Maid lemonade is way too sweet. It's too sugary and it's off-putting, honestly. It's just too much. They put too much sugar in there. And I'd much prefer like a lemonade from the bottle, or even just making your own lemonade yourself. So I think there's too much sugar. It's too sweet, but I'm not going to turn it down if someone offered it to me. But I wouldn't seek it out either. I think I bought Minute Maid lemonade one time, and it was because I was getting mixers for drinks. So I wasn't even like going to taste the lemonade that much. So it's a solid, I'm not going to turn it down, but I don't think it's very good in my opinion. Next up, we do have Mountain Dew Code Red, which is the cherry Mountain Dew flavor. And it is going to be an S tier for me. I think in terms of my rankings of Mountain Dews, which, by the way, we will do a Mountain Dew flavor tier list later on at some point. They gave us 3 Mountain Dew flavors for this tier list. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of my thoughts on the Code Red. But I think one of the things that Mountain Dew does really well with their best flavors is that you still feel like it's Mountain Dew, but it also has a different flavor to it. And I think Code Red does that well. Like if you're drinking a Code Red, you can just tell it has that Mountain Dew flavor. Whereas like if I drink like a cherry soda from like a cherry 7-Up, I think Mountain Dew Code Red is at least a tier above the cherry 7-Up. So I think it's got a nice character, you still know it's Mountain Dew, but it's also got a nice cherry flavor to it. So I'm a big fan, and it's one of my favorite Mountain Dews of all time. Next up, we do have Mountain Dew Livewire. And while I did say that Code Red was able to still have that Mountain Dew character, but with a cherry flavor, I don't feel the same about Mountain Dew. Don't get me wrong. Livewire is a very solid orange soda. Probably not as good as Fonta. It's probably the same as Sunkist in terms of my opinion on it. But it doesn't really have that Mountain Dew character in terms of you can tell it's a Mountain Dew, which is what I love about Mountain Dew, is that you just know it's a Mountain Dew when you taste it. And I don't feel that way with Livewire, but it's still a very solid orange soda, but it's not gonna approach my S tier. But it's very solid, so I'll put it in the A. Sometimes I'll seek out a Livewire, but I'm not gonna say it's, my favorite Mountain Dew of all time. Next up, we do have Pibb Extra, Mr. Pibb, I think it used to be called. It's basically Dr. Pepper, but worse, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the Pibb for all the same reasons that I didn't like the Dr. Pepper, but it's just worse and has worse branding, so not very good in my opinion. Next up, we do have Pepsi, and I think, in my opinion, Pepsi is probably better than Coke. And I think it has to do with the fact that I think Pepsi has like a more caramel flavor to it, whereas Coke is more vanilla flavor. So for that reason, I like Pepsi. I think Pepsi is probably a little bit sweeter too, and it cuts a little bit more. You get a bit more of a kick than you do with Coke. Like Coke is very smooth, but like with a Pepsi, it's Pepsi. It's got that Pepsi kick. So I think Pepsi is very solid sometimes. I seek out a Pepsi, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites either. So that's why it's in the A tier. Next up on our tier list, we do have RC Cola, and this is ass. This is not good. Rarely does a soda do enough to be amongst my least favorite sodas. You pretty much have to be a root beer or you have to be RC Cola. It's just not very good. There's really no reason to ever get an RC Cola when, you have colas such as Pepsi, Coke. I'm sure there's even other colas that are out there that are probably better than RC. And like the places where you would get an RC Cola, you're probably also able to get a Pepsi or a Coke. So this is absolute last resort. I'm getting an RC Cola. It's just not very good. So definite D tier for me. Next up, we do have Cherry Pepsi. And I think Cherry Pepsi is probably like my favorite flavored cola. I think the sweeter taste of Pepsi goes better with the cherry flavor than the Coca-Cola cherry. I think, you get this this rush of sweetness from the cherry Pepsi that you don't get from the Coca-Cola cherry. I think cherry Coke is more subdued than the cherry Pepsi. I think cherry Pepsi is a lot more in your face, and I think it works for a cherry flavor because oftentimes I feel like cherry flavor is not as prevalent. Like oftentimes you'll get a faint cherry flavor, but I appreciate cherry when it's in your face because I really like cherry flavor. So cherry Pepsi, definite S tier for me. And last up, we do have Squirt, which is a grapefruit soda. And I will say, Squirt is probably a C tier soda for me. I'm not really that big of a fan of grapefruit flavor when it's like really sweet. Like I like a more bitter grapefruit flavor. Like I like grapefruit IPAs. But what I will say is that Squirt is a C tier soda, but I really like Squirt with tequila. I like a nice Squirt and tequila mixture. So for that reason, Squirt is going to go into the B tier. But otherwise, just by itself, Squirt, probably a C tier, but we'll bump it up because it makes a good mixture for tequila. And it's probably like the only mixer for tequila in my book. So if I have tequila, I'm getting Squirt. But I'll give you one final look at the tier list. Here it is in all its glory. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like and leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite soda is. And if you have any thoughts on the tier list, let me know those as well. I do appreciate y'all, and be sure to stay safe.